Have you ever found yourself sitting alone in your room, wondering if something greater is about to unfold in your life? There are moments when the atmosphere around us shifts quietly yet powerfully. And often, just before something big happens, God sends signs, subtle, personal, unmistakable signs. He speaks to us not always through thunder or miracles, but through the stillness and the quiet spaces we occupy, especially our room. The first sign is a deep restlessness. It's that stirring in your spirit you can't quite explain. You're not sad, but you're not satisfied either. Things you used to enjoy might no longer feel fulfilling. You begin to question your purpose, your path, and your passion. This isn't a punishment, it's preparation. God is shifting your focus. He's loosening your grip on the old so your hands are free to receive the new. Then comes the second sign, unexpected clarity. In the middle of chaos, you suddenly begin to see clearly. Your thoughts become focused. You may wake up in the night with ideas, dreams, or direction that you've never had before. People, verses, or words might show up repeatedly. That's not a coincidence. That's God giving you vision. When you feel a pull toward something, a dream that won't leave you, that clarity is God lighting your path. The third sign is divine peace. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's calm. Even when you don't know what's next, you feel an unshakable peace in your heart. This peace isn't from understanding, it's from trusting. God gives it to you as a reminder that He is in control and He's already ahead of you, preparing the way. Peace in the waiting is one of God's greatest gifts. So when you feel restless, when clarity strikes out of nowhere, and when peace finds you in the middle of uncertainty, pay attention. These aren't ordinary feelings. These are signs. These are moments when God is whispering, "Get ready. I'm about to do something big." There are moments in life when everything seems to be moving in slow motion, and yet you feel an inner turbulence, an agitation that you can't quite explain. It's like your soul is trying to break free from the comfort zone it's been in for so long. Have you ever felt like that? It's as if something bigger is about to unfold, but you don't have all the pieces yet to see the full picture. This is the first sign that God is preparing you for something greater. Restlessness, though uncomfortable, is not a sign of failure or confusion. It's often a sign of transition. God stirs that deep feeling of unrest in our hearts because He's preparing us for the next phase of our lives. He's waking us up from the complacency that we might have fallen into. This restlessness is not a coincidence. It's a divine shaking meant to awaken you to the fact that something is about to shift. It's as if the old patterns, routines, and comfort zones are no longer enough to contain the destiny He has for you. During these times, you might begin to question things you once took for granted. You'll ask yourself questions like, am I really where I'm supposed to be? Or is this what I was meant to do with my life? You may start to look at your relationships, your job, your daily routine, and feel that something doesn't quite fit anymore. This restlessness is a divine signal that you are on the brink of change. You're being prepared for something new, something bigger, and something far more aligned with the purpose God has placed on your life. It's easy to mistake this feeling for anxiety, frustration, or even a sense of failure. But what you need to realize is that God is often using this agitation to drive you out of your comfort zone. The status quo can be comfortable, yes, but it doesn't always lead to growth. Restlessness is what propels us to move forward, to step into the unknown, and to trust God in ways we never have before. When God places restlessness in your spirit, it's His way of inviting you to search deeper, to push beyond the boundaries of what you've always known, and to make room for the bigger things He has for you. This sense of unease can manifest in different ways. You might feel tired of things you once enjoyed, or like you're simply going through the motions of life without feeling the sense of purpose you once had. You might feel like the things that used to make you happy no longer satisfy you. Even the people around you may not seem to fill the void you feel. In moments like this, it's important to stop and reflect. rather than try to push the feeling away. Ask yourself, what is God trying to show me in this moment? Why do I feel this way? The answers might not come immediately, but in time, you'll begin to understand that God is working behind the scenes to prepare you for what's next. In times of restlessness, it's easy to become impatient. We want things to move faster. We want answers and we want clarity right now. But God doesn't always operate on our timeline. His timing is perfect, and in the moments of restlessness, He's teaching you patience and trust. He's teaching you to wait with anticipation, knowing that what He has for you is far better than anything you've imagined. The restlessness is not a curse, it's a blessing. It's God calling you to something greater. In those moments when your spirit is restless, take time to seek God's presence. Spend time in prayer. Reflect on what He's done in your life so far and ask for clarity. The restlessness can sometimes feel like a void, but it's in that space where God can speak most clearly. He's preparing you, and He's already placed everything you need for this next season inside of you. Your spirit, your heart, your mind, they are all being trained for what's coming next. You may not understand the full picture, but rest assured, God is orchestrating every detail. Even when you don't know what the next step looks like, trust that God is at work in you. He's stirring up your heart for something bigger. Just as a seed must first be broken before it can grow into a tree, your restlessness is a form of breaking free from what's familiar and comfortable in order to step into the new life God is preparing for you. And like the seed, the breaking is not the end, it's the beginning of something amazing. God is positioning you for growth, for transformation, and for a breakthrough that will align your life with His purpose in ways you can't yet comprehend. You may be tempted to give in to the discomfort, to try to numb the feelings of unease or distract yourself from the restlessness. But if you do, you might miss the opportunity for growth that God is inviting you into. Instead of avoiding the feeling, lean into it. Surrender to the process and trust that God is leading you into something greater than you can see right now. The restlessness is not a sign of something wrong. It's a sign that God is about to do something big in your life. It's time to let go of the old and embrace the new. So when that feeling of restlessness arises in your spirit, don't run from it. Don't resist it. Instead, take a moment to reflect, to pray, and to ask God what He is trying to teach you. It's a signal that He's preparing you for something bigger, something better. And if you allow Him to guide you through this time of uncertainty, you'll find that He's already laying the foundation for something incredible ahead. The restlessness is just the beginning of a beautiful journey with God. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's changing, but you can't quite put your finger on why. You might find yourself looking at things you once enjoyed, activities, places, even relationships, and feeling a sense of emptiness, as though the joy they once brought has faded. This discomfort can be unsettling. What happened to the passion you once had? Why does everything now feel off? It can feel like a slow unraveling, as if something that once fit perfectly in your life no longer does. But this loss of satisfaction, though disorienting, is not something to fear. In fact, it may be a sign that God is shifting your focus and preparing you for something greater. When the things that once brought you happiness begin to feel hollow, it's easy to assume that something is wrong with you. You might feel guilty, frustrated, or even confused, wondering why you can't find joy in the same places or with the same people anymore. But the truth is that this is often a sign of growth. God is working in your life, and He's intentionally shifting your focus from what is familiar to what is greater. He's preparing your heart and mind for new opportunities, new passions, and a new purpose that align more closely with His plan for your life. It's important to understand that the discomfort of losing satisfaction isn't punishment, it's a divine invitation. God is inviting you to step beyond what's comfortable and ordinary into a space that holds more potential, more fulfillment, and more alignment with His will for you. Sometimes we get too comfortable in the life we've built, and it's easy to start settling for what feels safe, even if it no longer serves our purpose. We get stuck in old patterns, relying on outdated sources of happiness, and before we know it, we've become numb to the deeper desires of our hearts. God, in His wisdom, often allows us to lose satisfaction in these areas as a way of stirring us up, breaking us free from complacency and leading us towards something far more fulfilling. Think about the times in your life when you experienced a great breakthrough or a significant change. Often those moments of growth and transformation came after a period of dissatisfaction when you no longer found joy in the things you used to love. It created space for something new to emerge. The discomfort wasn't the end of the road, it was the beginning of a new chapter. It was God's way of clearing the old out so He could make room for the new. You may not have understood it in the moment, but looking back, you can see how necessary that discomfort was for your growth. God works in mysterious ways, and His ways are often unexpected. He doesn't always give us an immediate glimpse of what's to come, but He does promise that the best is yet to be. Sometimes losing satisfaction in things that once brought joy is the only way to get our attention. When we are no longer fulfilled by our current circumstances, it forces us to ask deeper questions. Questions about what truly matters, what we're passionate about, and what our real purpose is. This period of dissatisfaction is a wake-up call to reevaluate what's important and to make space for the new things God is preparing for us. During these times of discomfort, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-blame or self-doubt. You might start to feel like you're not enough or that you've somehow lost your way. But the truth is, losing satisfaction is not a sign of personal failure. It's a sign of God's grace. He's lovingly guiding you towards something more fulfilling, more aligned with His vision for your life. Instead of seeing it as a negative, try to reframe the situation as an opportunity to discover a deeper sense of purpose and joy. God doesn't want us to settle for mediocrity. He wants us to experience the fullness of life, and sometimes that means we have to let go of what's no longer serving us. Let's be honest, change is difficult. It's uncomfortable to let go of things that once brought us joy, especially when those things are familiar and have been a part of our lives for a long time. But it's in those moments of discomfort that God is doing the most work in us. He's stretching us, refining us, and preparing us for the next phase of our journey. When you lose satisfaction in something, it's not the end. It's the beginning of a new and more meaningful pursuit. God is reshaping your desires, and He's leading you towards something greater than you could ever imagine. If you're feeling dissatisfied right now, know that it's okay. It doesn't mean you're broken or that you've failed. It's simply a sign that God is calling you to something more, something greater. Maybe it's a new direction in your career, a change in your relationships, or a new vision for your life. Whatever it may be, trust that God knows exactly what you need, and He's guiding you every step of the way. The discomfort you're experiencing is the fertile ground in which your new purpose, passion, and fulfillment will grow. In these moments of dissatisfaction, don't try to numb the feelings or ignore them. Lean into them and ask God what He's trying to teach you in this season. Seek His guidance in prayer and allow Him to shift your focus. As you let go of what no longer serves you, you'll make room for something far greater to take its place. It might take time, but the new joy, peace, and fulfillment that God is preparing for you will be worth the wait. Remember, God is never finished with you. He's always working, always guiding, always leading you towards something better. If you're feeling a loss of satisfaction right now, take comfort in knowing that it's not a curse. It's a sign of transformation. God is about to do something new in your life, and this discomfort is simply a part of the process. Embrace it, trust Him, and get ready for the greater things He has in store for you. The best is yet to come. In life, there are times when everything feels uncertain. You're walking through a fog of confusion trying to make sense of the chaos around you. Decisions seem harder to make, and you're left feeling lost, unsure of the direction you should take. You might feel like you're wandering, not knowing what's next or even what you truly want. And then, in the midst of all the noise and confusion, something unexpected happens out of nowhere. There's clarity, a sense of understanding that cuts through the confusion like a ray of light piercing through the darkness. You find yourself with new ideas, new dreams, or a renewed sense of direction, as if something inside you has just clicked. This sudden clarity is not just a coincidence, it's often a divine intervention. God works in mysterious ways, and in those moments of confusion, He grants you glimpses of understanding, guidance, and insight that can change the course of your life. It's a moment when the fog lifts and you can suddenly see things clearly, even if you couldn't before. This clarity often comes when we least expect it, sometimes when we are at the end of our rope, exhausted from searching for answers. It's in these quiet, vulnerable moments that God speaks to us the loudest. Clarity is often a gift that feels almost surreal. You could have been wrestling with a decision for days, weeks, or even months, and suddenly everything makes sense. Ideas that once seemed disconnected begin to form a coherent pattern. Dreams and passions that felt too far away suddenly seem within reach. The confusion that once clouded your mind is replaced with a clear vision, and you can now see your next step with certainty. It's like a light bulb moment where the pieces of your life puzzle come together and you can finally see the picture clearly. What seemed complicated now feels simple, and the path forward feels more defined. But where does this sudden clarity come from? It's not something we can manufacture on our own. In fact, we often don't even know where it's coming from. It's God's way of revealing a part of His plan for your life, a moment of divine intervention that gives you the understanding you need to move forward. It's like God is whispering to you, saying, "This is the direction you should go. This is the step you need to take, and I am with you in this." The beauty of these moments of clarity is that they can change everything. They can shift your perspective in a way that nothing else can. Maybe you've been stuck in a job you don't feel passionate about, and then suddenly you have a new idea for a career path that excites you. Or perhaps you've been uncertain about a relationship, and suddenly you understand what you need to do. These moments are transformative. They give you the confidence to take the next step, to act on what you've just realized, and to trust that God is guiding you in the right direction. It's important to recognize that these moments of clarity often come when we stop trying to force the answers. Sometimes we spend so much time and energy trying to figure things out on our own that we block ourselves from hearing God's voice. But when we finally surrender, when we stop striving and just listen, God speaks in ways that are impossible to ignore. These moments of clarity are not about us trying harder to solve our problems. They are about us allowing God to show us the way. They are moments when God gives us a glimpse of the bigger picture, helping us see things from His perspective. Another thing that is remarkable about these moments of sudden clarity is how they often come at just the right time. You may have been praying for guidance or feeling overwhelmed by indecision, and then, unexpectedly, an idea or solution comes to you. Sometimes it happens in the quiet of the night, as you're lying awake and your mind is still, or in the middle of your morning routine when you least expect it. These moments are not always dramatic. Sometimes they come in the stillness, in the calm after the storm of confusion is past. God knows exactly when you need that clarity, and He knows exactly how to give it to you. But while these moments of sudden understanding can feel like a breakthrough, they don't always come with a detailed blueprint. God often gives us just enough clarity to take the next step. He doesn't show us the entire journey ahead, but He reveals the path just enough for us to trust Him and move forward. It's like being in a car with headlights that only shine a few feet ahead. You can't see the entire road, but you can see enough to keep driving. God's clarity is like that. It's enough to take the next step, and He'll reveal the next part of the plan when the time is right. In the midst of uncertainty, these moments of clarity are gifts from God, guiding you in the right direction. But it's important to recognize that clarity doesn't always come immediately. Sometimes we have to wait for it. Sometimes we need to go through the fog of confusion to arrive at that moment of understanding. And often it comes when we stop striving and simply allow God to speak to us. Trusting God's timing and His plan is key. You may not always understand why things are happening the way they are, but when you lean into Him, He will grant you clarity when you need it most. These moments of sudden clarity can serve as a compass for your life, helping you navigate through difficult decisions and uncertain seasons. They remind you that God is not distant or silent. He is speaking, guiding, and revealing the next step when the time is right. It's an invitation to trust Him fully and to move forward with confidence, knowing that His guidance is steady and sure. In the middle of confusion, God is there, and He will always provide the clarity and direction you need to move forward. So, when you find yourself in a season of uncertainty, remember that God is not silent. He will grant you clarity and vision at just the right time. Be patient, trust His process, and when the clarity comes, take that next step with courage, knowing that you are being led by a God who knows exactly where He is taking you. Life has a way of unfolding with a mix of ordinary moments and unexpected signs. Sometimes you might find yourself noticing the same word, phrase, or symbol appearing over and over again in your life. At first, it might seem like a coincidence, but then it happens again and again. Maybe it's a specific number, a phrase you overhear, a dream you keep having, or a song that seems to follow you wherever you go. These repeated signs and messages often feel like they're too consistent to be mere chance, and in reality, they may not be. These are divine nudges from God, signaling that He is at work behind the scenes, guiding your steps and preparing you for something greater. When you start noticing repeated signs, it's important to take a moment and pay attention. God often speaks to us in subtle ways through things we might easily overlook in our busy lives. He knows that our minds are filled with distraction, so He uses repeated messages to capture our attention. It's as if He is saying, "Look here, I'm trying to tell you something." The repetition isn't by accident. It's a pattern meant to help you recognize that something significant is unfolding in your life. These signs may not always be loud or dramatic, but they are meaningful, guiding you to where you need to be. For instance, you might hear the same Bible verse over and over in different contexts. It could come up in a sermon, in a conversation, or even in a book you're reading. At first, it might seem like a coincidence, but as it continues to pop up, you begin to wonder if there's a deeper meaning behind it. This is one of God's ways of speaking directly to your heart. He's using that verse to remind you of a truth you need in that particular season of your life. It's His way of saying, "I see you, and I'm here with you." The repeated appearance of that verse could be a sign that He's working to strengthen your faith, or maybe it's encouraging you to trust Him more fully as you face an uncertain future. Similarly, certain symbols might appear in your life repeatedly. It could be an animal, a color, or even a specific image that keeps showing up in your environment. For example, you might keep seeing a particular bird, like a cardinal or a dove, whenever you're facing a difficult decision. To some, birds are seen as messengers, representing hope, peace, or guidance. These repeated appearances could be a reminder that God is present, watching over you and sending you peace when you feel unsettled. Sometimes these signs come through nature, showing you that God is in the details of your life, even in the smallest things. Numbers are another way God might communicate with us. You might notice that a certain number keeps appearing. Maybe you keep seeing 1111, 333, or 777. These numbers could be God's way of getting your attention, signaling that you are on the right path or giving you a sense of reassurance. In biblical traditions, numbers have specific meanings, such as 7 symbolizing perfection or completeness, and 3 representing the Trinity. If you keep seeing these numbers, it could be a divine sign that you're in alignment with God's will or that a new season is about to begin. People can also be messengers. You might find that certain individuals keep showing up in your life in ways that feel intentional. Maybe someone reaches out to you with words of encouragement when you're feeling low, or someone offers advice that seems perfectly timed for your situation. These people might not realize it, but they are part of the divine plan God is unfolding in your life. When certain people come into your life at specific moments, it can be a sign that God is using them as instruments of His will. They might be providing you with the wisdom or support you need to move forward, or simply reminding you that you are not alone. These repeated signs and messages are not always immediately understood. Sometimes they come to you in ways that seem confusing or mysterious, but the more you pay attention, the more you begin to recognize the pattern. It's like God is speaking to you through a language that only you can understand, gently nudging you to open your eyes and ears to what He's doing in your life. The more you acknowledge these signs, the more you begin to see that God is constantly at work around you, orchestrating events and people in ways that lead you toward His purpose for your life. One of the most beautiful things about these repeated signs is that they create a sense of connection with God. When you begin to recognize His presence in the everyday details, you start to understand that He is not distant or detached from your life. He is involved, actively working behind the scenes to guide you, protect you, and lead you toward a greater purpose. These signs are reminders that God is walking with you every step of the way, showing you the way forward when you feel lost or unsure. It's also worth noting that these repeated signs often appear at critical junctures in our lives. Perhaps you're at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take. You're feeling uncertain, maybe even fearful about what the future holds. And then you start noticing the signs, words, numbers, symbols, people popping up in your life with an undeniable frequency. This is when it becomes clear that God is guiding you. These signs are not meant to force you into a decision, but to encourage you to trust His timing and His plan. They are His way of assuring you that you are not alone, that He sees you, and that He's already ahead of you, preparing the way. So when you notice repeated signs and messages in your life, don't dismiss them as coincidence. Take a moment to reflect and ask God what He is trying to communicate to you. These signs are not random. They are divine nudges meant to remind you that God is actively involved in your journey. He's showing you the path to take, comforting you in your moments of doubt, and guiding you toward the greater things He has planned for your life. These repeated messages are like little love letters from God, meant to encourage, uplift, and guide you in the direction of your purpose. So when you see them, embrace them and trust that God is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating your life in ways that will ultimately lead you to a place of peace, fulfillment, and divine destiny. In the midst of life's chaos and uncertainty, there are moments when you feel a peace that simply cannot be explained. It's the kind of peace that transcends logic, a sense of calmness that settles deep within your soul, even when the world around you seems to be crumbling. You may not have all the answers, you may not know exactly what the future holds, and the circumstances may still feel uncertain, but there is an undeniable sense of peace that rests in your heart. This peace isn't born out of circumstances or a clear plan. It comes from something much deeper. It's the reassurance from God that He is in control, that He's walking with you through the uncertainty, and that He is preparing the way ahead. There's something profoundly powerful about experiencing peace during uncertain times. Life is full of questions, doubts, and challenges, and the natural reaction for many people is to be anxious, fearful, or overwhelmed when the future feels unclear. When we don't know the outcome, when we can't see the path ahead, it's easy to let worry creep in and start to consume us. But when you experience unshakable peace, it's as if you are anchored to something far greater than your circumstance. That peace is God's promise that even in the storm, you are not alone. Unshakable peace doesn't mean that everything in your life is perfectly aligned or that your problems have magically disappeared. It doesn't mean that you have a clear, step-by-step plan for what's next. In fact, it often comes at a time when you feel most uncertain. You may still have unanswered questions, unresolved issues, and unclear directions, but there's a quiet confidence in your spirit, a trust that God is at work even when you can't see how. It's the kind of peace that allows you to rest, knowing that God is already orchestrating every detail of your life, even in the moments when you feel lost. This peace is a gift from God, a divine reassurance that He has everything under control. It's not something that can be manufactured by human effort. No matter how hard you try, you can't force peace to come when it's not there. True peace comes only from God, and it surpasses all human understanding. The Bible describes this peace in Philippians 4:7, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This kind of peace doesn't rely on circumstances to feel secure. Instead, it is rooted in God's presence and His promises. Even in the face of trials, this peace stands firm, guarding your heart from fear, anxiety, and doubt. There's something incredibly freeing about this kind of peace. When you know that God is in control, it releases you from the pressure of trying to control every aspect of your life. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know exactly what the next step looks like. God's peace allows you to rest in His sovereignty and trust that He is leading you in the right direction. It's a reminder that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders because God is already handling things on your behalf. In the midst of uncertainty, this peace can be an anchor that keeps you grounded. When everything else feels like it's shifting or unstable, peace becomes the foundation that holds you steady. It doesn't mean that you're immune to fear or worry, but it does mean that when those feelings rise, you have a deeper source of strength to rely on. This peace helps you rise above your circumstances and look beyond the immediate chaos. It helps you trust that God is not only with you in the present, but that He has already gone before you, preparing the way. This peace isn't passive, it's active. It doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. Instead, it empowers you to move forward with confidence and faith. It helps you make decisions, take risks, and step into the unknown, even when the future feels unclear. The peace you feel isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of God's assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. Even when you feel uncertain about the next step, you can move forward with faith because you know that God is walking with you every step of the way. Often, this peace comes in quiet moments. It's not something that can be forced or manufactured. It comes when you stop striving and simply rest in God's presence. When you surrender your need to control every aspect of your life and instead let go and trust that God has it all in His hands, that's when this peace fills your heart. It's in those moments of surrender that you realize you are not meant to carry everything alone. God is there to carry the weight with you, and He's already planned your path even if you can't see it yet. One of the most profound aspects of unshakable peace is that it doesn't depend on external circumstances. You might still face struggles, uncertainties, or challenges, but God's peace transcends those things. It's not about the absence of trouble. It's about the presence of God in the midst of trouble. Even when the storms of life are raging around you, His peace remains constant. It is not influenced by the ups and downs of life, but remains steadfast, like a lighthouse in the midst of a storm. This peace also enables you to live in the present moment rather than constantly worrying about what might happen in the future. When you're anchored in God's peace, you can focus on what is right in front of you, trusting that He will take care of tomorrow when it comes. It's a reminder that God's provision is always sufficient for today, and you don't have to carry the weight of tomorrow's uncertainties right now. This peace frees you from the burden of worry and allows you to fully embrace the moment you are in. In times of uncertainty, when you feel like you're walking through a fog with no clear direction, unshakable peace serves as a beacon of light. It reminds you that God is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail of your life. Even though you may not understand how everything is going to work out, you can rest in the knowledge that God has a plan, and He is faithful to lead you through the unknown. His peace is not about having all the answers. It's about knowing that He is with you and that He will guide you to where you need to be. When you experience this peace, it's as if you're wrapped in the arms of God, knowing that He has you exactly where He wants you. This peace doesn't require you to have a clear vision of the future or to know what's coming next. It simply requires you to trust that God does. He is in control, and that peace is a reminder of that truth. So, even without knowing the full plan, rest assured that God's unshakable peace will carry you through the uncertainty, guarding your heart and guiding your steps along the way. In life, there are moments when the weight of uncertainty presses down on us. We feel as though we are standing on the edge of something significant, yet we can't quite see what's coming. It's in these times that God often sends us subtle yet unmistakable signs, whispers of reassurance, nudges in our spirit that something great is about to happen. These signs don't always make sense immediately, and sometimes they can seem like coincidences. But when you pause and reflect, you begin to realize that they are not random at all. Instead, they are God's way of saying, "Get ready." They are invitations to trust Him, to stay patient, and to prepare your heart for the bigger things He is about to do in your life. Trusting in God's timing is never easy, especially when we are walking through periods of uncertainty or waiting. We often want answers now. We want to know what the future holds, what the next steps are, and how everything will unfold. Yet God's invitation to trust is a call to let go of control and surrender to His perfect plan. When He gives you signs, whether in the form of repeated messages, moments of peace, or even quiet nudges in your spirit, He is reminding you that He is in control, not you. The signs are not there to confuse you, but to reassure you that He's already gone ahead of you, preparing a path that is far greater than anything you could imagine. Trusting God in these seasons requires patience. We live in a world that values instant gratification, where answers come quickly and change happens at a fast pace, but God's timing often works differently. He doesn't always give us the answers we seek right away. He allows us to walk in faith, step by step, not knowing the entire journey ahead. The repeated signs, the moments of peace, the divine nudges, these are the moments where God is gently asking you to be patient and to trust in His unfolding plan. Patience is not simply about waiting. It's about how you wait. It's about preparing yourself, both mentally and spiritually, for what God is about to do. The act of waiting is not passive. It's a time of deep growth and transformation. As you wait, God is working on your heart, refining you, shaping you for the bigger things that are to come. This process often requires us to let go of our own timelines and expectations, replacing them with a trust that God's timing is always perfect. When God says, "Get ready," it is an invitation to prepare yourself for something beyond your current understanding. It's a moment to align your heart with His will and to open yourself up to the possibilities He is preparing for you. One of the most challenging aspects of trusting God during these seasons is the uncertainty that comes with it. We long for clarity, for answers that make sense, but sometimes God's signs are not immediately clear. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to figure it all out on our own, to push and strive to make things happen. But that's not how God works. The signs He gives us are not meant to be puzzles to solve. They are invitations to trust that He has a plan and that His plan is already in motion. The peace that comes with trusting in God is not the absence of questions or doubts. It's the assurance that God is in control, even when we don't have all the answers. Trusting in this peace means you don't have to have everything figured out right now. You just have to know that God does. The act of preparation is just as important as the act of trusting. When God says, get ready, He's not just asking you to wait passively. He's asking you to prepare your heart, your mind, and your spirit for what's coming next. Preparation can take many forms. It may be a season of personal growth where God is working on refining your character and your faith. It may be a season of learning or developing new skills where He is equipping you for the task ahead. It could also be a time of surrender, where you are learning to let go of your own plans and embrace His. Whatever the preparation looks like, it's about aligning yourself with God's purpose for your life. Preparation also involves cultivating a posture of readiness. Ready for what? Ready for the doors God is about to open, the opportunities He is about to present, and the challenges He is about to help you overcome. It's easy to get caught up in the waiting and the uncertainty, but there's a difference between waiting and being prepared. When you're waiting on God, you may not know what's next, but you're positioning yourself to receive it. You're trusting that He is working on your behalf, even when you don't see immediate results. You're preparing for what He has in store, not by worrying about the future, but by being faithful in the present moment. The signs God sends are not random. They are deliberate and intentional. He knows exactly what you need when you need it. These signs serve as reminders that He is with you and that He is preparing you for something big. They might be small and subtle, but when you begin to notice them, you realize that they are speaking to your heart. God is saying, I'm with you. I'm preparing you. Trust me. These signs invite you to step into a deeper level of faith, one where you rely not on your own understanding, but on God's wisdom and timing. Trusting God doesn't mean that everything will always go smoothly or that you will never face challenges. In fact, the opposite is often true. When God is preparing you for something big, you may face setbacks, obstacles, and moments of doubt. But these difficulties are part of the preparation process. They are the trials that refine you, the experiences that help you grow stronger and more resilient. They are part of the journey that shapes you into the person God is calling you to be. Even in these challenging moments, you can trust that God is using them for your good and for His glory. So when you notice the signs, when you feel the nudges in your spirit, when you sense God whispering, get ready, take that invitation to heart. Trust that God is working behind the scenes. Trust that His timing is perfect. Trust that He is preparing your heart for the big things He is about to do in your life. Prepare your mind, your heart, and your spirit for the opportunities, challenges, and blessings that lie ahead. And most importantly, be patient as you wait. This season of preparation is an opportunity to grow, to trust more deeply, and to align yourself with God's purpose. The big things are coming, and God is already preparing you for them.